Hi, and welcome to Freshwaves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Today, we are continuing our organ donation awareness shows. Today, we will be talking with Sadia Bag, and she is a member of the Kidney Foundation of Canada, Ontario branch. Good morning, Sadia.
Good morning, Brenda. Good morning, everyone.
And how are you doing today?
I am tired, but we're here and we're doing it. We're living our lives.
That's true. Every day we try to live our lives. So tell us a little bit about your story. I know that you are a kidney recipient 2 times over.
Yeah. Yes, I got diagnosed very randomly, and it was from the fault of not having my period at 14 years old the second time. And so that's actually one of the not one of, but a lot of female patients go through that, where they have menstrual cycle concerns throughout their kidney journey. And so that was my not only symptom. I had lower back pain too, but then we didn't know what that was for. So when we went to the family physician, they did additional blood work and found out that, yep, my levels were not correct. I was transferred over to the hospital of sick kids. And over there, they did confirm that I was going into renal failure. And at the time, they said that I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. And so that was that. And then I started pretty much within the 3 to 6 months of being diagnosed. And I remember my first dialysis treatment, I was sitting in a chair, really uncomfortable chair, as everyone knows. And I'm going to age myself now. I was watching Rosie O'Donnell at the time. And I remember just seeing her face, and within seconds, not even kidding, within seconds, I was told I was done dialysis. So my 4-hour treatment went by in like a flash, just like seeing her face, and that was it. So people don't realize, like, even your first treatment at whatever age you're diagnosed, it's a lot to go through. It's very emotional. It's very, you're very confused. You're very worried that you're going to have symptoms, that you're not going to feel well. Even though you talk to people about it, like peer support, there's always that indication, well, again, your body is different. And the symptoms we have when we're on dialysis will be different for every single individual. This is something that I try to let my patients know, because it's very true. So after I started dialysis, I was on it for about 1.5 years at the kids hospital. And for my journey, it was a lot different. I guess because I started off in pediatrics than some of my people that I've spoken to, where after high school, I would take the bus and subway. I would lie to my friends about going to dialysis because you're embarrassed at 14 or any young age, to be honest, as a young adult. I wouldn't tell any of my friends about it. I would just tell them, oh, I'm going downtown to hang out with my cool friends. And little did they know, I'd be the only one there on dialysis. Once the nurse was done, I was done treatment, she just told me to lock up. And then that was it. And I would just be there by myself waiting for my ride. Or I would take the bus and subway and get home by like 11 o'clock at night as, 15-year-old and whatnot. So it was a huge life change. It was a huge, okay, I have to grow up now because, having immigrant parents, they work hard. They had 2 jobs. I had to take over my own health and support myself, because I didn't want them to take time off work, and I feel bad if they did, but then they feel bad if they didn't. Like, people don't realize the complexities when you're a young kid, and even when you're an adult, like, all the time as a caregiver you have to put in, or that you get taken away, it's a lot. So it's really good to recognize that from different perspectives. And then I had my first transplant, as you stated, 2-time recipient. I had my first transplant when I was 16. My nephrologist, the day before the transplant, she came to me while on dialysis with a big book. And I reference this because it reminds me of Simpsons, if people know the Big Book of British Teeth. There's an episode about that. And so she brought me the big book of moon faces. And moon face is a symptom you have when you're transplanted, or whoever's on prednisone. A lot of our other patients are on it too, for lupus, etc. But a side effect is you get the moon face. And she just showed me this book of young patients that had it. That was my only education and support about, hey, you're 16, you're in that puberty stage where you're growing. The only thing you have to look out for is moon phase. It was so, now that I think about it, it was so weird. And it clearly wasn't the right support that I needed. But I was so grateful because I love the doctor that I had. So yeah, so I had my transplant at 16. My body completely changed, even more so after that. I was referenced myself as a little wolf girl because of the prednisone. I had hair all over my body, even my face.
Oh,
Yeah, and my social worker actually took me to the salon at one point and had my face waxed. Like, it was the most empathetic, however you want to phrase it, human touch that I ever had, even till this day. And because of her, I'm a social worker, because she just went above and beyond to make me feel like I mattered. And so I always remember that.
that's
And,
so sweet.
yeah, it's like the little things that people don't realize, like, anyone will remember, like anyone going through anything. And she's such a sweetheart, and like, I love her. So yeah, so at 16, I had my first transplant, and, again, my body changed. I gained weight, about 20 pounds. I was 90 pounds, and I gained 20 pounds of fluid and excess stuff. And, nobody recognized me in school, which was kind of sad. And, they only knew it was me because it was my voice. And again, like, you're eating and you don't realize you're not supposed to, so you're gaining. I had stretch marks. I have stretch marks everywhere. Body image is such a huge thing, especially for me, because I went through a lot of it. I lost my transplant, unfortunately, 3 years after. There's no rhyme reason why I lost it. It just wasn't working.
So the
And so,
kidney actually began to shut down when you were, what,
yeah.
16?
Well, in between the 3 years that I had the transplant, so from 16 to 18, when I had my transplant, I don't know, my body just wasn't accepting it. And, I personally could have done better with taking my medication on time. I think that might have been a factor, but I know I
But
took
you
my
were so
meds.
young. A
No, I
young person
know.
like that, there's a lot of stuff going
Yeah,
on in a young person's life anyway. I mean, the
yeah,
teenage angst years are so difficult to maneuver when you're perfectly healthy. When you're
yeah,
not, I mean, good grief. That's a lot
yeah.
to put on a kid that young.
Well, when I was losing my transplant, I started my first year of university, and it was the first week of Frosh week. And I know I made no friends because I was in and out of the hospital. And I ended up failing like 3 courses on my electives in my first year because, again, you're doing dialysis. I was volunteering at Children's Aid Society. I think even at that time, part-time, not more, less than part-time working, just trying to like keep myself busy and keep, everything extracurricular activities alive because, dialysis took up so much time, especially with the in-center. And my professors actually said to me, well, it's your fault. You didn't tell us, so too bad. And there was like no support in finding any accessibility services or how to navigate as you're doing all this, trying to juggle things.
Hmm.
So, like, I learned, so now I share what I learned with people, but like, I wish I had that support. Yeah, when
That
I was going
support or
through it.
even a mentor who'd already been through it to kind of
Yeah,
guide you on your journey and maybe give you a nudge every now and again, hey,
yeah.
taking those meds. Hey, how you feeling?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. And like just making sure that I'm not overwhelmed and that I'm not overdoing it for my body itself and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've learned and what I do for my patients, and I support my young adults, and because we have a group for that. But like, this is the point of what I do and why I do it, because of the fact that like I've gone through it and I know how much it hurts,
Hmm.
emotionally, mentally, and physically, and how much people need that support regardless.
Hmm.
So yeah, but like my team at the hospital were great, like with accommodating for my classes and when I had to switch for exams and like accommodate dialysis. So that was really good. And I think, and my biggest point is work with your healthcare team. You have to be open and honest with them in order for them to trust you and for you to trust them. And it takes time. It's not going to happen right away because, you know, life happens, stuff happens, and you have to make sure that you're, working again together to get the best treatment you can get at the end of the day. It took me 10 years to get my second transplant. Within those 10 years, I graduated with my degree, working, trying to find that work-life balance with dialysis and stuff like that.
You were on dialysis for 10 years?
Yeah, I had to wait 10 years
Wow.
because of my antibodies and my blood type.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, 10 years straight.
Well, you know what? They say dialysis keeps you alive, but it's no way to live. But it does keep you alive, doesn't it?
It does, but you can live your life while on dialysis. Like, I know there's these studies and people say, oh, you only have 5 years to live, but like, I'm attest to that. Like, I've been on dialysis on and off, yes, for straight 10 years, but now it's been additional 8 years. So 18 years I've been doing dialysis. And like, knock on wood, like multiple woods, I thankfully don't have any other comorbidity. I'm good. That doesn't mean like I'm not going to go for my third transplant, but like, I don't like when people say you can't live your life. Like, obviously we want people to go for transplant. We want people to have a living donor. We want people to experience that. But when you can't, like me, you have to make it work.
Yes. You have no choice.
Right?
Yep.
And so when people say those things, it really hurts because it makes me think that I need to give up. But I don't, because I know I can live a good, healthy life on dialysis.
Yeah.
So I had my second transplant, in 2013. And even for that transplant, when the doctors came to me, they even told me it's not a perfect match, that we don't know how much longer you're going to have to wait on dialysis if you don't take this kidney. So we advise you to take it. Those were their words. I still remember. And again, you trust your renal team, your healthcare team. You trust them to a T. And so I went with it. The surgery went great. No problems. My recovery was really good. I recovered really, really well. And then the sixth night, the day before I was supposed to go home, that's when I had the fever, and then I had the first rejection. And
wow.
I knew then, and then I knew then this kidney wasn't going to last, that it was going to reject when it wanted to. It wasn't a lifelong kidney. Again. Sorry, 1 second.
Wow. Yeah, it's heartbreaking because for some people they get that kidney, it lasts for 20 years. Yeah. I interviewed someone who has had their kidney for more than 30 years. But for someone like you get a cadaver kidney. That's not a perfect match.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, so 6 days and, that I was supposed to go home, and instead I ended up staying in the hospital for 3 weeks. I contracted CMV. So that wasn't fun.
What is CMV?
And CMV is, it's like a dormant virus. So, you have to be isolated. You do pick it up in the hospital. And again, I've been a patient since I was 14, so I'm not surprised that I had it dormant inside of me. Mm-hmm. But it came out once I was rejected because my kidney was rejecting because my immune system dropped. So then the CMV came out. So it is common, for kidney patients to have CMV, in different stages of their journey, if they do. So, so I had that transplant for 2.5 years. And within 2.5 years, like the positive thing was I did get a chance to go travel to Hawaii with some of my girlfriends and, have that experience with not being on dialysis and traveling, which is great. And no dialysis, which is awesome. But, not the negative, but the unfortunate thing was that, every time I went for blood work, I had a hospital bag with me. And the scare was that if the next time I went for blood work, I would be admitted for rejection. And probably 80% of the time I went for blood work, I was admitted because I was going through rejection, which sucked. So the transplanted kidneys rejected about, I would say 15 to 20 times within 2.5 years. I always had the hospital bag with me. The team knew who I was, and it wasn't fun because I really didn't get to enjoy that kidney. I was still restricted with diet, I had to go for pheresis, and that's where they have to take out the bad antibodies and give you fresh antibodies so that your body accepts the kidney. I did about 20 rounds, and unfortunately, my body is just really strong. It's very stubborn and just wants to keep me somewhat healthy, but doesn't realize what's keeping me healthy is the kidney that is trying to kill. So that kidney was actually, I don't think it was a good kidney to begin with, because the same person who received the second one, he also was going through some other rejections. And he was actually a lot worse than I was when it came to his health. So finally, I went back on dialysis I think it was November 7th of 2015. And of course, I was in denial. I told my team that, no, I feel fine. The only pain that I have is on the kidney. Other than that, I have no symptoms. I feel good. I don't want to go back on dialysis. Like complete denial. I had to have one of my girlfriends who was on dialysis also at the same time. She came with me for my first day of treatment for moral support. And it was the best thing I ever could have asked for, because it sucked.
Yep.
And even the nurses, like, God love them, but them asking constantly what happened, it hurts, because you have to repeat every single time that, yep, rejected. And they kept saying to me, oh my God, we thought you would make it. We thought it would work for you because you're so young. But nope. So,
and it puts a lot of pressure on you. That's not fair to put that pressure on you. It's not like you did anything to cause it to fail. It wasn't your fault. It was just luck of a bad draw.
Yeah.
I mean, a good draw in one way. Some people say, well, you waited for a kidney and then one was available and it was a cadaver kidney, which means someone passed away and you got one of their kidneys.
Yep.
But there's nothing that you did that made that kidney not work.
Oh no. I was like so paranoid that I was blaming myself, that I would drink at 1.6 liters of water because I was so paranoid. And then my team had to talk me down and say, no, it is the kidney. It's not you. But in this world, patients always get blamed first, unfortunately. So
yeah. And there's that stigma around organ donation where we've been doing these shows for 10 years. And if anyone wants to hear previous shows, they can go to our YouTube channel at Freshwaves Radio and hear previous shows. But one person had said, what a waste if someone only gets to use the organ for 2 or 3 years. And one of our family donors turned to this woman and said, what I wouldn't give for 2 or 3 more years with my son. Mm-hmm. It just 2 or 3 years is a huge amount of time. And having an organ that allowed you to go on a trip with your girlfriends, to be living what we would consider, quote unquote, a normal life without the interruption every other day of dialysis and things, that's a wonderful gift in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I absolutely appreciated it. And I took it for what it was, exactly what you said. Like, I did not take it for granted. But unfortunately, so the kidney, it did fail. The unfortunate part was that I ended up having, side effects afterwards. I had, chills and fevers and stuff like that from November to December. And they could not figure out what it was. And I kept telling the team, it's my transplant. Like, it's infected. It's not working. Like, I'm going through these symptoms, and these are symptoms of infection. I know it's the transplanted kidney. No one would believe me, unfortunately. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But no one would believe me. And then finally, on December 22nd, I was just shivering and just crying while on dialysis, going through these symptoms. And then the team finally called the OR and booked my surgery. During my pre-admin the day after, they said that they had to admit me because I had a high fever. And then during the surgery or after the surgery itself, the surgeon came up to my mom and I because they took out the transplanted kidney. And the surgeon actually said to us that the kidney, while he was trying to take it out, that it was falling apart in pieces. and that it was oozing blood.
Wow.
It was that badly infected, and no one believed me. So
what did they do then? Then you have no kidneys.
So I had my two native kidneys because they don't take those out unless they're going to cause problems.
Right.
I have my first original transplant because, again, it didn't cause any problems. It was the third transplant that they had to take out that was infected. So at this moment, I have 3 kidneys in me that don't work.
Wow. So are you hooked up to any one of the 3?
What do you mean hooked up?
Like, is your body processing anything through any of those kidneys?
Oh, no. Like, I'll have dribbles here and there from, like, probably my native kidneys, I'm assuming, because I've been told that the other one's all shriveled up like a raisin, according to a doctor.
Yeah.
But, no, I don't pee. I don't do any of that, which honestly, I tell patients this who get worried about that it's kind of a good thing, because when you go on long road trips, when you're in the airplane, especially now, you don't have to go to the bathroom, especially for number 1. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing people have to get out of this, that you do have to make light of a lot of things. We are serious about our health and what we're going through, obviously, but at times you do just have to joke about it, because this is a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. This is a journey that we have to live forever with, and same with our caregivers alongside with us. And it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of a ride. You're going to have your ups. You're going to have your downs, regardless of where you're at in the stage. It's going to be like that. And so, so since 2015, I've been back on in-center hemodialysis. I've spoken to quite a few people about living donation, but I've been doing this, 25, 26 years now. I've only had one person serious about donating to me in terms of the living donor aspect. And it's really hard talking to people about it, because it's not like you're asking for a cup of sugar or an egg, and you're going to give it back, or they're going to be okay if you don't give it back or anything like that. So I really promote living donation because, I know the need for it, and I know it's hard.
Well, we talked with Meg Thomas about her donating a kidney, and then she donated a piece of her liver to a little girl. Now, the liver regenerates itself. Yes. The kidney doesn't. But most people who do the live donor do very, very well after donating a kidney. They don't have, and this is by and large, I'm not saying it's for everyone, but by and large, they do very well. They don't have side effects. They continue a quote-unquote normal life. And these live donors, the live donor kidneys, actually function better than cadaver kidneys. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's your ultimate goal, I guess, is to get a live donor at this point.
That's my only hope, actually, because on the deceased donor list, my wait time is 15 to 20 years.
Oh, good grief!
Yeah, because I'm 100.
Staggering.
Yeah, my antibodies are 100%, and my blood type is B positive. So I'm kind of in like that needle in a haystack category, which, really sucks. But again, you got to be positive. So.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's very difficult to be positive sometimes. You can ask someone to be positive, and as a social worker, you know this. It's, fake it till you make it. If you're going to, that positive attitude, just keep it coming until it finally sets in. But life throws you curveballs, and sometimes those curveballs they're daunting. It's really hard to be positive all the time, and unrealistic.
Yeah. I always say to my patients that, we always hide behind our smile, that our smile is our number one weapon when we want people to know that we're okay, but we're not. And now, like with COVID, we can really hide by a literal mask. But we always hide. Like, I'm really good in telling people that I'm okay, but I'm really not. Only in situations like this do people realize, oh wow, like she's really is going through a lot of things. But so I'm waiting for a third transplant. Whichever way it comes, I'll be happy for that. But, I'm trying to keep hope, but sometimes, there are days where where that hope seems lost.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this month is Organ Donor Month, or Living Organ Donation Month, and honestly, all those folks that donate, like, they're amazing. They honestly are,
Earth's angels, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and people who have someone right away that want to donate, those individuals are so blessed, and that's amazing. But the reality also is that not everybody has that blessing. Not everybody has that chance to have a living donor transplant. And it's hard. So to keep that in mind too, to people who are thinking about it, please, even just learn about it through the Kidney Foundation. Because at least knowing about it, it gives you that motivation to talk about it to someone else. And then that person will talk about it, and that person, and at least that awareness will be spread. And maybe from that chain, somebody might say, hey, I'll think about donating, and you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. And then we also had the parent exchange program, which is really awesome. So even if you're not a blood type match, you can always go through that program. And that's like a double blessing, because you're not only supporting your person, but you're supporting other individuals as well. So I think that program's pretty cool. And that's the program that I would have to go through if I had a living donor. So, yeah.
Now, when you say your patients, you are dealing through the Kidney Foundation of Canada at the Ontario branch. You're dealing with people who are in a similar situation to you. Do you find solace in that? I mean, for me, looking at it as an outsider, as a complete outsider, I think how fortunate those people are to have you, to have someone to talk to who's been through this, who's been where they are, who knows what it's like to be afraid, who knows what it's like to be so over the moon excited. That in itself says to me that you serve such an important role within this whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and that's the beauty, honestly, Brenda, about peer support, that having individuals who have gone through the journey, who, again, mentally, physically, and emotionally understand what you're going through and can talk to you at that level as well. Because there's so many things when it comes to peer support. It's not just watching a video and then that's it. I take my time when I train my volunteers. I make sure they understand how to talk to somebody, how to listen to someone. This is how we train our volunteers at the Kidney Foundation, because at the end of the day, they have someone's lives in their hands. It's someone who's vulnerable. And it's something that we honestly take so seriously, because we've been there. And I treat people how I would want to be treated, right? And spoken to and provided the right information at the right time. And our support is from the very beginning, when you first get diagnosed, and onwards throughout all the stages, and my volunteers are just simply amazing. Like, my team is small. We're a small team, and we support the whole Ontario, the whole province. And we can't do that without our volunteers. Right. We can't have our support groups that are going on right now without them. And, they're phenomenal. And I treat them like my peers. I don't treat them like, they're under me. I treat them at my level. And at times I treat them like they're above me, because they're so amazing and they go above and beyond to support me and to support the foundation and to support the people living through the journey from every aspect of it, the living donation side, caregiver side, the pediatric side. And so I honestly love what I do, because of the fact that I've made such amazing friends and such amazing connections. And
it's funny too, that when people donate to the Kidney Foundation, they don't often realize that it's not just donating to someone sitting in a lab trying to figure out the solution to kidney disease. Yeah. It's all the peripheral things around that, and supporting the people who are on dialysis, supporting the people who have kidney disease. these are the kinds of things that you're actually supporting when you donate to the Kidney Foundation of Canada. So as well as bringing organ donation awareness to the airwaves this month, I'd also like to bring to everyone's awareness the fact that donating to the Kidney Foundation of Canada is a very worthwhile project, and the money goes towards really good initiatives.
It goes through our peer support program. We have a short-term financial assistance program as well that supports patients, to a degree financially, like all our materials, the research, we've been around for 39, well, longer than that. We've been around for ages. And, our peer support program and even we're the only ones that have successful support groups out there. And working with these renal units and renal teams, it's amazing. And the social workers and the nephrologists, it's all about working together and working for the people living through this perspective, through this journey. And I have to coin kidney journey. I use that all the time. I just love that term because it is a journey, and it's a lifelong journey. And anything I can do to support my peers, I will do with webinars and more, support out there and more collaborating with with other organizations, because I'm all about not reinventing the wheel. And I don't care for the politics. For me, it's about the people living through the journey.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Right?
And just, the Kidney Foundation has been, as they say, their vision that's guided them as a collaborative, initiative, and focused leader in the development of programs, services, research opportunities, and awareness campaigns for over 50 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
wow.
If anything, if people don't know, come out, other ways to support is even, just joining the kidney walk that we have in September. A great way to create a team with your family and friends to spread awareness within your circle, within your community, and raise funds to support. And then, it's in person this year. So if you're at a location like Toronto High Park or Brampton or Mississauga, they have, their own little fun things that they do. You get to meet the renal teams that come out as well. So you're all together. You're all at one level, just supporting each other, which I think is great. It's a great way to give back and end the summer going into the fall kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So, so that's pretty much in a nutshell. So I'm on dialysis right now. I go to dialysis 3 times a week, and I work full time. I have a family I support. I'm a caregiver also to my parents. We do what we could do to live and thrive rather than just only surviving, but thriving.
That's the key, isn't it? It's not just, it's just not surviving. It's living.
Yeah. And people don't realize, even on dialysis, you can still travel. Dialysis is not a death sentence. Honestly, it's a bridge at keeping the person healthy and active until either they have a transplant or just until they want to stay on dialysis, because we have patients like that too. So, you have to look at this lifestyle as a unique individual. We're also different in terms of how our bodies accept it, how our minds accept it, how things, reflect on us, that we have to take this one day at a time. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't just learn from each other's journeys. Hear and listen and learn and get the peer support that is out there, because it's all free. Peer support, it's just one phone call away. So when you're ready, obviously, of course, because again, everyone's different in terms of how they want peer support as well.
Right. Well, just as a little bit of a data dump so that people are understanding what we're saying, more than 48,000 Canadians are living with kidney disease. Across Canada, 29,835 people are receiving dialysis, and 18,239 are living with a functioning kidney transplant. Those are staggering numbers.
Yeah.
And that was as of 2021, so I'm sure that now it's even higher than that.
Yeah. And, the other thing is, people don't, like, the numbers, like, really make you realize, and, like, it is a jaw opener, but patients don't look like patients, if that makes sense. Like, we don't look like we're sick, which is interesting. So people don't realize that, you're walking down the street and this person is on dialysis, or they had a transplant, and, or a kidney pancreas transplant. And I think that's one of the things we have to remember is that, even though we don't look like we're sick, or that we don't look like we're struggling, especially like with mental health and everything going on with COVID and just trying to stay safe, we're going back to the whole mask thing, the whole smile thing. We hide behind those because we don't want people to worry, especially our immediate families and friends and stuff like that. But that's the key. Talk to people. Have that human connection. Ask people genuinely, are you okay? Because if someone says, yeah, I'm fine, to me, that's kind of an indicator that, no, you're not. What's really going on? Because the word fine and just saying it like that, I don't know. It's over now. Like, people are using it and it's not, I know they're not. And I feel like we need to, like, do more self-care, more self-awareness, and really, really, really hone in on who we are as individuals rather than just kidney patients or just someone who's sick. But do things that make, honestly, you happy, and that, that you're able to do for yourself.
Yeah.
Because only you can do that. No one else.
Well, those numbers that we just quoted were for people who were suffering from diagnosed end-stage renal disease, kidney disease. They estimate that between 1.3 million and 2.9 million Canadians have chronic kidney disease. So that shows you the numbers that they, these are the people that they estimate probably do have kidney disease and they just don't even know it. So be vigilant, take care of yourselves.
Oh yeah. Go for your monthly checkups. If you have any inkling that you may, be going through something, give us a call. We're here to help and support, and, no medical advice is ever provided, but, like, we share our personal experiences. And, from there, you go to your healthcare team and you chat with them and you say, you support that narrative, but, and
you're not alone. And there's comfort in knowing that someone is there who can relate to what you're going through. Don't hide.
Yeah. And from different aspects of the journey, different ages, different cultural backgrounds, different languages. It's an abundance of support, and, take your time in asking and reaching out, because everyone has their moments, but just knowing, again, like you said, you're not alone. Everyone's here for you. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to talk to us today here on Freshwaves. And we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. I hope you find a kidney soon.
Thank you. I honestly really appreciate it, Brenda. You're such a sweetheart. And it's, again, my first or second time talking to you. And I can't say enough of how I appreciate you, spreading the awareness, spreading the love, and the honesty about it, because, living this journey, it's not easy, but it can happen if you have the support and you have the right mindset too. If you're positive, you're going to have that positive journey, and that's what we thrive to hope to provide, and that hope to provide as well. So thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, we loved having you, and thank you for all that you do to support the people who are going through kidney disease.
Of course. Happy to do it.
Well, that was Sadia Bag. And as she was saying in the show, it's ideal to have a living donor. When we get back from our little break, we're going to speak with Megan Thomas again. And Megan is a live donor, and she's going to tell us a little bit of what is involved in becoming a live donor. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to Fresh Waves, and I'm your host, Bren Masson. This is our organ donation. We're back on Freshwaves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Today, we are speaking about organ donation. We spoke earlier in the show with Sadia Baj, who is a 2-time organ recipient, both times of cadaver organs. Her only chance now for survival, since she's back on dialysis, is a living donor. So right now, I'll take you to an interview with Meg Thomas. Meg's a 2-time live organ donor. She donated a kidney and she donated part of her liver. She has saved the lives of 2 people. One was a child who is now living a really full and exciting life because of Meg's generosity. It's such a precious gift to donate a part of you so that someone else can have a full life. Now we'll hear from Meg about what it is that you need to do if you're considering being a live donor. Take a listen. Joining us online right now is Megan Thomas. Megan is an organ donor. She is a live organ donor. She is a healthy, happy individual who goes around spreading awareness about organ donation. And Megan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I would like it if you could tell the listeners what was involved in you getting ready to be a live organ donor. You can't just be a couch potato whose diet consists of potato chips with some dip.
Right. So yes, it is obviously very important to keep yourself as healthy as possible, which includes, getting enough sleep at night, which includes, daily exercise or at least a good couple times a week. And as you mentioned, having a very healthy diet as well and staying away from, all of the things that we really should be staying away from anyways. Too much alcohol, certainly no smoking cigarettes, things along those lines. So if you think that you're relatively healthy and you would like to explore living donation, then you can certainly contact your local transplant hospital, and then the process from there really begins. So their coordinator will be in touch with you, and they will send you a package to complete. It's a written package, and that's the very first step. Sometimes people will actually get canceled out from the paperwork alone because they may have some conditions or be having to take some medications or have some genetic issues going on there that would cancel them out. From there, if you pass the paperwork, you go for some very, very, very simple testing at your local laboratory, which includes a urine sample, some blood work, just to see how, everything is doing, make sure you're not deficient in anything, check for your blood type, of course, which is very important, and things like that. So if that all comes back well, then you're usually invited down to your local transplant hospital, where you will meet with the coordinator and you will meet with a number of individuals on the team that help to prepare you to hopefully be able to donate. So there's a lot of medical testing that is involved. With different organs, there's different testing. So with the kidney, there's 24-hour urinalysis, which needs to be done. There are CAT scans that need to be done. There are renal scans that need to be done. More extensive blood work, obviously, to check you from top to bottom. And then along with the medical testing, you'll also be meeting with the team down there, which consists of a number of different people, from a nephrologist to your coordinator to your surgeon, if it's looking quite possible that you'll be able to go through, and also with a social worker and a psychiatrist as well, because it's very important that along with your body itself being physically healthy, that your mind and your emotional capacity are just as healthy as well for this process. Some other additional testing, for example, if you were looking to be a living liver donor, which you may encounter, would be an MRI. It might be a fibroscan to test the elasticity of your liver, and there may even need to be a liver biopsy done to also check the elasticity, if that testing doesn't really tell you here nor there. So the tests, from my experience, everyone is different and I can't speak for everyone, but from my experience, they were very, very, very well organized. They were done in a very timely fashion and none of them physically hurt whatsoever. They may look a little scary when you first get in there, but none of them ever physically hurt whatsoever. It was just really both of my experiences at Toronto General Hospital, which I cannot speak highly enough about. They were seamless. They were positive. happy experiences. And I wish I could do it all again tomorrow, because I would.
Now, have you maintained that diet and physical fitness level post-surgery?
I have, because once you feel that great and you look that great, you don't really want to ever steer away from that, right? So I do, because although my health is in perfect condition after those 2 donations, it's healthy to maintain that lifestyle so that you don't encounter any other problems with any other parts of your bodies, just because, your existing kidney and your liver are okay again, doesn't mean that you certainly want any other issues like heart disease or diabetes or anything like that either. So, I do really keep up with that healthy lifestyle, but that's not because I donated. It's because I want to live a long and happy life. So yeah. And with most donors, actually, I would say every donor that I've ever encountered, they've done the same. They have kept up that lifestyle as well, because once you get in that healthy state and it feels so darn good, both physically and mentally, you want to keep that up. So,
was it hard to do that diet change and physical regime?
I am really a type A personality. So once I get in a routine, I stick with it, and I'm good to go. And maybe that's a bit of obsessive compulsive disorder as well, on my end. But so for me, it was super easy. I mean, of course you're going to splurge and you're going to have your cheat days and you're going to treat yourself. It's all about, it's all about maintenance, but it's also about having that healthy balance as well, right? You don't want to deprive yourself of enjoying life and enjoying life's, good drinks and food that are out there as well. So for me, no, it wasn't difficult. For others, they've said it's a little tricky. Perhaps giving up the sweet stuff or, a glass of wine here and there before donation. But after donation, as I mentioned, your life can return to perfectly normal state. So, for me, it really wasn't. And I've never certainly heard anybody complain about that either. The benefits you get from doing these donations far, far outweigh, not being able to sit there and eat a bag of sour candy or something.
Well, thank you for that. That makes everybody, I think, feel a little bit better. Why not feel better if you can? And maybe you don't have to wait until you are sick or wait until you're going to be an organ donor. Just feel better now in case you ever need to be an organ donor.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks. Well, that's it for Fresh Waves this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to hear more Fresh Waves, you can go to our YouTube channel, Fresh Waves Radio. Hit subscribe. We love to have subscribers. And also, go to beadonor.ca and register to be an organ donor. It's been lovely speaking with you this morning, and we'll talk to you again next week on Fresh Waves. Have a great day, everyone.